Welcome back, YouTube, to Peterson Auto. Today we're going to show you a quick how-to on cutting and flaring brake lines. This is a nickel copper line, some of the best stuff on the industry right now. Will not rust, will not corrode, so I'd highly recommend it. Little spendy, but worth the extra time, especially if you plan on keeping the vehicle around. This little thing here is a tubing cutter. There you go. So you see the handle turns and it moves these jaws up and down. There's little rollers in there and a cutting wheel. The tube pinches right in between those two. I don't have a spare piece of tube to show you that at this second, but we'll get you one. Tube pinches right in between the rollers. There we go. And the cutter. And you just slowly tighten this. Now I've already started this. It was a second thought of, hey, you know what, that might make a good YouTube video. So tighten it down to hand tight, give it an extra turn, spin it a few times, give it another turn, spin it a few times, give it another turn, spin it a few times, and repeat the process. This stuff cuts really easy, a lot easier than steel. Bends a lot easier than steel too. So it's usually not going to take near as long as I'm taking, but I'm going slow to kind of give you an example. You can usually get it in, one turn's enough with this stuff, so you go down and up, and there we go. So there's an example of how the tube goes in between the wheel and the rollers. So after you've cut your tube, most of them have this little pokey majig. That's not for picking your teeth. What you do is you see on the end of the tube there's a little bit of a burr inside. You're cleaning that out with this. Now your burr is cleaned out. So that's what the little pokey thing's for on your tubing cutter. Next thing you want to do, in my case, bend my line back where it needs to be. Now you take your tube, put it in. You want to have just a hair protruding. It depends on the specific line. You'll develop a feel for it. If this is your first time, cut it long, you'll probably have a couple issues. But depends on the specific line, but you'll develop a feel for it. A little bit protruding is usually good, and then lock the clamping part in. Okay, YouTube, you can see what is protruding here. Very little bit. Just give you an example. Maybe thickness of your fingernail or so at the low point. But that is what you are looking for, just that little bit of protrusion. After your line's all clamped up, you're going to take this piece here, which is the actual part that creates the flare for you. You're going to put it around the tool. A lot of time you have to back it the whole way out. And then seat the little triangular anvil into the flare. Okay, YouTube, now you can see the anvil. The pointed part is seated into the line where you want to make the flare. And then all you do is tighten it down. Now, you don't have to be as careful with this because this stuff does flex and move a lot. But with steel line, you probably do half a turn to a turn, loosen it back up, half a turn to a turn, loosen it back up. With this stuff, I do about halfway of the flare and then loosen it back up. So once it gets really hard, your flare is done. Pull your tool out, take a look. Could be a little better, but definitely going to be adequate there. So you pull your tool off, Loosen up your clamps. Okay, and there is your flare. You can see it's nice and flared. Move the fitting up. You can see how it covers the whole bottom section. So that's a good flare. Example of a bad flare is right here. You can see the clear size difference. There we go. And you can see how that one's not the whole way out. There's barely any flare to it. I actually did that on the wrong side, so you get a learning example. When you look at your tool, the last thing is, it is side specific. When you look at your tool, there's a side with cut chamfers in it, and a side without. The side with the cut chamfers in it is the side you're flaring from. It's also usually the side with the size labels on it. So, you know, if you're doing a 1/2 inch line, it goes in the 1/2 inch. If you're doing a 5/16 line, it goes in the 5/16. Quarter, 3/16, 3/8, etc. It's 3/16 up top. I mentioned it's 5/16, so it's 3/16 up top. That being said, now you know how to cut and flare a brake line. Final step is just connecting your fitting into whatever you're planning on connecting it into. In this case, this is going to be a clutch line for the diesel build. So, thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and keep updated with Peterson Auto.